Hey guys, we're here with Cristina Enriquez today to talk about her latest transaction that she closed with Noble. Cristina, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Christina's with Solution Driven REI, so tell us what your company does.
So we provide real estate solutions to anyone that wants to buy and sell real estate.
Okay, so I met Cristina probably 3 years ago, and I love the story. Cristina, I met her at a networking event, and I've always had a thing for admiring young people who are just busting their butts and working hard, because you always see these things like, you don't need to work hard and this and that, which I think is all BS. So Cristina, when I met her, she was like, oh yeah, I'm working full-time managing an enterprise rental car. She was mentoring under somebody, learning real estate. She would go home after work, and then she would cold call for 2-3 hours at night to do her real estate. And then she was also training to be a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, this girl's really busting it, So we became Instagram friends, and I would invite her to different networking events and try to introduce her to people because she was just out there busting. And I admired it a lot. And I remember, I'd take her out to a networking event. She'd cold call. She was working full time, and then I'd get up in the morning on Instagram and look, and she'd already been to the gym and she's at work already. So it really, it made me feel bad about myself. Sitting there drinking coffee at 8 o'clock, but man, she's already left the gym. She's already at work. So anyway, good for you. Bless your butt. And now she's full-time real estate, started her own company. So let's talk about the deal at hand. So you found this property in Brazoria, correct?
Right.
So tell us how you found the property. I'm assuming through one of your cold calling channels.
Yep. I have a team of cold callers, and they cold called this lead back in October, actually. And we ended up closing in January of 2025. So it took a couple of months. We did a lot of follow-up on the deal. The seller at the time wasn't ready. So every month we were just hitting him up and make sure that we were like the first one that he thought about when he was.
That's what you got to do. So I tell my loan officers, follow up. So you had that. And you can also get that rapport with them as well.
Right.
So you got it under contract, and then I think originally y'all were thinking about flipping it?
Yep.
Thinking about flipping it or wholesaling it first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thought maybe you might flip it,
Yep.
and so forth. So I think it kind of came down to a time crunch, like we got to close on this now. And it's a little bit out there, so probably not a lot of lenders that would lend in an area like Brazoria, probably not a lot of investors that would buy in Brazoria.
Right.
Which it does make it tougher on the lending side because you do have trouble getting comparable properties. This property was on the water. It's in a quiet little community. So there wasn't a lot of comparables, but the value was there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very obvious. We talked to our appraiser initially, and he's like, oh yeah, they're getting a really good deal. And so she came to us. She only had a couple days to close, which it took us a little bit longer because that was when we had the snow.
Right.
So we got bumped, I think, a day or so. We closed on it. So you bought it for how much?
$90,000.
Bought it for $90,000. And I remember looking at the initial budget, y'all were going to do $10,000 in repair, but y'all didn't do anything to it. You just put it back on the market,
Yep.
untouched,
Untouched.
and got it under contract in
3 days.
for
$165.
really good deal. For those of you that don't know, we call that
Hotel.
wholetailing. It's a new word. All these, millennials and Gen Z. I've been doing real estate for longer than all of them. And I always learn a new word, which I knew this word already, but that word wasn't even in existence 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's where you buy a property and you just put it right back on the market, or maybe just like clean it up,
Yeah.
put it right back on the market and try to sell it, which
Mm-hmm.
that's if I could do deals like that, I would do it,
Yeah,
they're
seriously.
not always that easy to find. So 3 days on the market, you got a contract for $165, no option, right?
No option.
This is what you call a no-brainer.
Yeah.
This is what you call it. And they didn't do any repairs or anything like that. Worked out great. Why did you choose Noble on this deal?
Because again, it was a tough deal because it is in Brazoria waterfront. There was no comps, like as is comps, nothing. There was some ARV in the area that we kind of like took a gamble on, but when we reached out to you guys, y'all were like, hey, yeah, we'll go through with it. And another thing is too, like the reason why I chose Noble even to begin with, before we even realized that this was like a steal of a deal, before we realized this, it was because, when I first started real estate, like Darel said, we would always go to real estate events. And I know that I'm very fond of you, of your leadership skills. And I don't think I've ever told you, but whenever you were going through some stuff with your family and you still had a happy hour that same month, and you were going through a loss, and you still showed up to that happy hour, you were still there with such a smile on your face and everything. And that really just showed how much of a great leader you are. And that I always navigate towards, because I aspire to be a great leader. I always navigate to people that have those qualities.
Yeah, you've never told me that.
Yeah.
I think it was the loss of my father is what it was.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I'm glad it worked out. Thank you for the business, of course. And after 3 years, we finally closed a transaction with you. This is the longest. You talk about follow-up. I've been working on this lead for 3 years now.
Yeah, seriously. The money's in the follow-up.
Yeah, so congratulations, and you're closing.
Yeah, on the 19th.
That's awesome. Anyway, stay tuned for our next one. Thanks for coming.
Bye, thanks.